Let's look at selling offense and selling defense. All right, I have to share with you, I'm a past football coach. So anytime there's a chapter like this, selling offense and selling defense, it is my objective to use as many football analogies and metaphors as I possibly can. So when we talk about selling offense, this is how we articulate our software and our company's value proposition. It ties back to the question of why should I buy it? And it really gets into how we even, when we talk about selling offense, even how we discuss our competitors' software. Because the reality is, especially in a proof of concept, many times, in fact, typically, we're competing against somebody else. And we need to be able to understand how we can discuss their software. Because I don't know what software you're selling, this course is built for any large enterprise software sale. I will give you some tricks of the trade for discussing your competition software later in this course. However, I wish I could give you some more details specifically on yours. Anyway, selling defense. Selling defense is how we as sellers counter the fears of the buyers. Uh, Buyer fear is the number one thing that prevents them from purchasing our software. And being able to counter those fears is critical. And being able to counter any claims about our software. Because guess what? The most devastating claims, the ones that are not positive, are the true ones. And all software has it. We would love to think our software is the best in every category. The truth is it's not. No software is. And because of that, we have to be able to counter those claims, especially the real ones, that are made by our competitors, maybe by analyst groups, maybe by industry experts, maybe it's something that a buyer read on a blog. All of these things are going and attacking our sales position. And good selling defense is about being able to counter these claims in such a way that progresses us in the sale. And I have to tell you, if you want to be successful as a seller, we must have a great offense and a great defense. You see, we have a little offensive play sheet here. For those of you who are football connoisseurs as myself, this play is known as an RPO, run pass option. So anyway, let's get back to selling offense and selling defense. Throughout this course, I will spend quite a bit of time helping you to articulate your software's value proposition. However, I want to spend a little time, since this is selling offense, is talking to you about discussing the competition. This is one of the most difficult things to do as a seller because we have to be very careful about discussing the weaknesses of our competition. This is also known as negative selling, and it can backfire on you. So, however, if you don't share the problems with your competition, it's possible your buyers will never learn them, in which case we may lose anyway. So, let me give you some tricks that I use when I have to talk about the competition and share their weaknesses. So first off, when I negatively market, I'll use the worst term possible. I like to use generalities. So for example, I might say many of the vendors in this space don't have referenceable client partners like we do. Here's a list of 4 people you can call. Most of our competition, they don't have these referenceable clients, because they're struggling. So notice, I didn't say that in a very aggressive manner. I said it in a somewhat apologetic manner. This is a technique that I believe works for me. And I kind of spoke a little bit about generalities. Now, if I know that we are competing against a company that is weak in a particular area, I might say that. I might say, hey, when it comes to data virtualization or visualization, the one company you're looking at, they have some real performance issues. So I would strongly encourage you, for all of us, ourselves included, make sure you put at least a 10 terabytes of data through that front end to see how they handle it. Because I know one of the things we hear quite often is there are some challenges there. Notice, I included us in that competition. I didn't back away from it. It's a great way to just talk carefully about your competition's weaknesses and to do it again in a non-aggressive manner, to do it kind of softly, to do it in a nice way. I think this has certainly worked for me, but we do have to be very careful about negative marketing. It's a tricky flip of the coin in the sales engagement process. When discussing the competition, there's a few key guidelines that I like to make sure that I follow. Number one, never name a competitor unless you know as an absolute fact that you're competing against them. There is no reason to help someone else get a lead. Um, many times so first off, in services, typically we don't know who we're competing against. However, in the software field, many times we do know. When you are going to let me give kind of the next piece of advice. I like making more sweeping claims rather than targeting people in general. So, for example, let's suppose we're selling data governance software and our data lineage is really great. It's our differentiating factor. Then I would certainly bring up in that sales cycle, hey, our data lineage is more sophisticated than any other vendor. So, big thing is when you're discussing competition, if you make a claim, you better make sure the claim is true and it's demonstratable. Very important. Don't make a claim just to make it. You got to make sure that it's true and demonstratable. And do not make more than 2 or 3 claims on a single vendor or any general claims of greatness about our software. Keep it simple. Too many of these claims, people start thinking that that you're not being fully honest. So also, buyers can't keep track of all these claims. So 2 to 3 claims is kind of where I like to go to. One of the bad things is if a customer asks you who you compete against, make sure to only name competitors that you have a distinct advantage over. This is something I've experienced a few times. Sometimes you're very early in the sale, which is a good consultative selling technique. And a buyer may ask, "Hey, who do you compete against? We have to have at least 3 people that we do an investigation of." Make sure you have the names of 1 or 2 of your competitors who you know as a fact you compete in a competition. Make sure you have distinct advantages with them. Don't name the ones who you struggle with. Name the ones who you feel pretty comfortable that you can defeat. These are all good guidelines to have when you're discussing your competition in your industry. Let's talk a little bit about selling defense. So, we have an entire chapter of this course dedicated to examining buyer fears and how to counter them. So, don't worry, we will hit that in tremendous detail. But selling defense can sometimes be difficult as some of the buyers won't reveal who we're competing against. So when we have to utilize selling defense, sometimes we have to do this versus analysts. There are different analyst bodies like the IDCs of the world and Gartner and Solutions Review and Forrester and blogs and articles that talk about our products. We need to understand what are the criticisms that we get from the marketplace and have some type of selling defense for them. This is nothing more than a bullet list of the pros and cons. And what we want to do is have the pros and cons of what analysts and these other quote unquote experts say about us, and, and make sure for each one of the cons that we have counterpoints to them, that we have some type of response. Now, When we respond to counterpoints, we never want to be defensive. We just want to state as fact how they work. And I will give examples of these later in this course. When we look at the pros that are brought up, we want to make sure that within our proof of concepts, within our demonstrations, that we show and emphasize our strengths. And we want to minimize and shore up our weaknesses. That's what good selling defense is all about. Much like the little football image here, we have a running back, he's about to be tackled, and this is what you want as a coach. You have one defender sealing him from the outside, the other coming from the inside. I guarantee this running back has nowhere to go. This is picture perfect defense, and that's what we want for our software. Picture perfect selling defense.